Hi, this is Pat Fitzgerald, the VA loan guy. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what not to do during the loan process. Okay, so as I said, we're going to talk about what not to do during the loan process. One thing that's so very important, and I know whether you're a realtor or whether you're a client, you're going to laugh at some of these things, but trust me when I tell you this, every single one of these bullet points that I'm going to talk to you about has happened to me or another loan officer here in my office. This is, believe it or not, all too common. So number one on the item list is don't quit your job or change jobs during the loan process. Here's why that's so important. The day before closing, we still have to call your employer and make sure that you're still there. So whether you are off the job or even if you've retired, it's going to come out the day before closing, so you don't want to do that. The other thing is don't go out and buy a car. The other thing that we do at all mortgage companies have to go and pull a soft credit pull the day of or the day before closing to make sure that the client has not taken on any new debt. So any credit pulls that appear on the credit report is going to reveal the possibility that the client has taken on more debt. The other thing is don't max out the credit cards during this process, because as you max out a credit card, so goes up the minimum payment that's showing on the credit report. Another obvious one, don't let any collections hit your credit report during this time. Even something as small as a copay at the doctor can upset your approval, because a collection that hits your credit report could cost you 30, 40 points as much as. So you don't want to let that happen. Here's a good one. Don't spend the monies that you set aside for your closing costs. I know some of you are probably laughing, but believe it or not, it's happened. The other thing is don't omit any liabilities that you have that you might not have told us about, like childcare costs or maybe some private land payments that you make, because eventually it's going to come out, and it's so much better if we know about these things up front. Here's another one that's so common today. Don't go out and buy the washer and dryer and the refrigerator and your furniture a day or two before closing. I know you're tempted to do it, but if you take on any debt during this process, we're going to have to count the payment. Even if it's interest only, even if there's no payments, we have to count a payment on the credit report. It's so important that you don't do that. Don't apply for any credit with anybody during this process, because as a lot of you know, every credit pull on your credit will cost a few points. So you definitely don't want to do that. Don't make any large cash deposits unless you have a bill of sale or absolute proof where that came from. Cash is kind of a no-no in the mortgage business. Don't transfer any funds from one bank account to another. That really complicates our job. That means we have to get statements proving where that money came from, what it was for, and it just creates that much more paperwork. And don't change banks during this process. It just makes it much simpler if you stick with your bank. Don't co-sign for anybody to buy anything during this loan process. A lot of people think that's okay. If somebody else is going to make the payment, it's not okay. We have to count that against you, particularly if it's less than 12 months. So anyway, I'm sure you have other questions. If you do, I'm here. I'm happy to answer your questions. I'm at 210-215-4400. It doesn't cost a penny to talk, so give me a call right now. Thanks for listening.